in the icy wilderness. An infant was unexpectedly abandoned by the roadside. Observing his attire, the man speculated that he must be from a wealthy family, so he brought him home, handing him over to his wife to care for, awaiting the arrival of his wealthy relatives, when they could demand a hefty ransom. However, to their surprise, a whole decade passed, and the boy had grown into a young man. Yet his biological parents never showed up, and during these 10 years of companionship, his foster mother never mentioned his origins to the boy, not only giving him the name Remy, but also treating him as her own child with meticulous care, providing him with a happy childhood. However, a sudden accident instantly shattered the peaceful life between mother and son. One day, Yang's mother received a letter from her husband, stating that he had accidentally broken his leg while working abroad and needed 400 francs for medical expenses. But after counting all the savings at home, it was far from enough for her husband's needs. Helpless, she had to sell the family's cow to the neighbor. But this cow was Remy's only playmate, and he was deeply attached to it. So much so that every night, after the neighbors fell asleep, he would sneak into their cowshed and steal their whip used for herding, to prevent his companion from getting hurt again. Every time he saw a new wound on the cow, he would hum their favorite nursery rhyme to soothe his companion's emotions. However, what Remy didn't know was that today, the scene of him singing was coincidentally witnessed by an old man nearby. He had been hiding behind Remy for a long time, and when Remy finally noticed him, he was startled and ran back home to find his mother, only to discover that his injured foster father had also returned. But upon seeing Remy, his foster father's behavior was not friendly, because he had been working abroad for all these years, and had no idea that his wife had been raising this child. No wonder the money he sent home every year was still not enough to cover the 400 franc medical bill. His foster father was furious about this, and even wanted to send Remy to an orphanage. But his foster mother was unwilling to give up the bond of 10 years, insisting on keeping Remy. The couple had a big fight over this matter. Powerless, Remy could only pull the curtains and cover his ears to escape everything in front of him. After his foster father left, his foster mother took out the swaddle Remy was wearing when he first came to them and told him about what happened 10 years ago. Learning that his foster mother was not his biological mother, Remy spent the whole night sleepless. However, early the next day, his mother smiled and told Remy that his father had finally agreed not to send him to the orphanage and would report their situation to the government, possibly receiving some aid. Remy was overjoyed at the news. After saying goodbye to his mother, he followed his foster father to town. Unexpectedly, upon reaching the government office, his foster father had no intention of going in. He confessed to Remy that he had made up an excuse to deceive them, so he could conveniently send Remy to the orphanage and tried to drag Remy away forcefully. In desperation, Remy pushed his foster father away and quickly fled. He hid under a table in a small diner, thinking he could escape his foster father, but in the blink of an eye, his foster father arrived with a group of villagers, leaving Remy with no escape. At this moment, an old man nearby could not help but speak up. He was the old man who had listened to Remy sing in the barn the night before. Curious about what the child had done wrong to warrant such a chase, he immediately placed 3 silver coins on the table after learning the full story from the foster father, indicating his intention to hire Remy for 30 coins a year. He traveled around Europe performing for a living and needed someone to help him. Greedy, the foster father agreed immediately upon hearing this. Witnessing himself being traded like goods, Remy had no choice but to let the old man take him away. As they passed by his home, his foster mother heard Remy's cries and desperately tried to come to him but was stopped by her husband who had just returned home. With her frail body, she could not overcome her husband and could only watch helplessly as the child she had raised for 10 years was taken away. But on the first night together, Remy planned to escape. He waited for the old man to fall asleep, then quietly unbuckled the belt tied around his hands and was about to open the door. The disturbance also woke up the old man, but he didn't seem to blame Remy. The white boulders in the west are diminishing. What about near the Damilon dragon? Remy, don't go. It's not okay. Unable to escape, Remy had no choice but to return to his own bed. He took out the swaddle he was wrapped in as a baby and started to tear it vigorously, seemingly wanting to destroy the source of his pain. At that moment, the old man's big black dog suddenly appeared before him, licking his cheeks as if offering comfort to the bewildered child. This brought a long smile to Remy's face. The next morning, the old man took Remy to a clothing store and spent all his savings on new clothes and shoes for him. Remy, somewhat puzzled, asked the old man why he was being so nice to him. The old man explained that he had heard Remy singing in the barn last time and believed that his voice had a unique talent in singing, which was why he planned to hire him to perform on the streets with him. On one hand, he didn't want such a good seedling to be buried. On the other hand, it could also help him earn more money. Saying this, the old man began to prepare his props, wanting to put on an impromptu performance to familiarize Remy with the process. They started from a small alley, and the beautiful melody attracted many nearby children. Then, they walked all the way to the market, and with the old man's vigorous calls, a large audience quickly gathered. His trained monkey and big black dog were exceptionally human-like, able to perform various actions on command. The splendid performance immediately drew a wave of applause. Seeing everything going so smoothly, the old man then wanted Remy to perform an impromptu piece. However, standing in front of the crowd, Remy was so frightened by the people in front of him that he couldn't make a sound and ended up fleeing the scene in confusion. The old man quickly caught up with him, comforting him by saying it was just the nervousness of the first performance, and it would get better after a few more tries. He urged Remy not to abandon his talent out of fear, but Remy said he didn't want to sing anymore. He felt he just wasn't cut out for it. Moreover, "You're just a street performer," he told the old man. "How can you be so sure I have a talent for singing?" While Remy was still brooding over this, the big black dog suddenly brought him a newspaper featuring a young picture of the old man. Being illiterate, Remy couldn't understand it at all and could only bring the newspaper to ask the old man. At this point, the old man was willing to share his past. It turned out he was once a very outstanding violinist. His sensitivity to music easily allowed him to recognize Remy's talent. However, due to some painful events in the past, he decided to give up his glory and chose to wander, living a life as a street performer. Realizing Remy couldn't read, the old man also handed him a wooden board carved with letters, deciding to teach Remy to read first. That way, when he missed his foster mother, he could write letters to her. In exchange, the old man hoped that Remy would seriously learn singing techniques. Knowing he could still contact his mother, Remy happily agreed. In the days that followed, Remy practiced singing during the day and learned to read at night. After some time of effort, he finally managed to write a complete letter. Although it was only some simple words, his mother would still be happy about Remy's progress upon receiving the letter. As Remy gradually became proficient in singing, the old man blindfolded him and took him to a wide field, letting him sing loudly as he did in practice. Seeing the right moment, the old man removed the blindfold. Only then did Remy realize that it was indeed his timidity that had prevented him from singing in front of others. The applause echoing through the field helped him completely overcome the psychological barrier. Afterwards, the old man and Remy performed for people everywhere. Many nobles were generous, gradually improving their lives. One day, at a birthday party, Remy met the birthday girl, Lise. The girl was born with a disability in her legs and could only sit in a wheelchair all day long. The lack of peers to play with gave her and Remy many common topics. They hit it off so well in their conversation that they even forgot everything around them. Just as the old man was about to interrupt them, Lise's mother stopped him, because she hadn't seen her daughter so happy in a long time. But after parting with Lise, the old man took Remy to perform in a nearby community. Suddenly, a group of police officers came to cause trouble, claiming that the two did not have a business license and intending to confiscate their props and the two animals. Naturally, the old man refused to comply, leading to a heated argument. Seeing the situation turning south, he urged Remy to flee with the big black dog while he was taken to the police station. Remy fled back to Lise for help. Lise's mother was willing to bail out the old man, but to their surprise, the identity card the old man was using turned out to be forged. The court demanded that the old man prove his real identity, or he would still be taken into custody. However, the old man would rather go to jail than reveal his identity, even stopping Remy from doing so. It turned out that in his pursuit of his career, he often neglected his family, staying out from dawn till dusk. His thoughtful son would light a candle every night so that he could easily find his way home. One day, the candle accidentally fell, igniting the carpet and tragically killing his wife and child in the fire. Overwhelmed with guilt, the old man decided to live incognito, ceasing his violin performances in memory of his wife and child. Without proof of identity, the old man was sentenced to 3 months in jail. Fortunately, during this time, Lise's mother took Remy in, providing him with a safe haven. The two kids, as if they had known each other for ages, spent all their time together, even Lise often sneaking into Remy's room at night when she couldn't sleep. It was then that she inadvertently discovered Remy's swaddling clothes. For the first time in his life, Remy shared his story with someone else. The two kids, sharing similar fates, grew closer as a result. Time quietly passed, and the children spent a beautiful summer together, while the old man also experienced the joy of a reunion after a long separation, filling their hearts with happiness as they embraced each other tightly. However, the old man's arrival also meant that the two little friends were about to part. The old man wanted to continue performing with Remy, but Lise's mother tried to keep them. Because Lise was about to undergo a significant surgery, she believed that with Remy's company, she would recover faster. She even suggested that if Remy was willing, he could stay with them afterward and live a carefree life. However, the old man immediately refused without consideration because he did not want Remy's talent to be buried. What he wanted was for Remy to achieve success and return one day to propose to Lise, offering her a secure and prosperous life. Indeed, a life of ease was a great temptation, but Remy understood what he truly wanted. In the end, he decided to leave with the old man. However, during the old man's time in jail, he had been locked up with a prisoner suffering from tuberculosis and unfortunately got infected as well. Moreover, his condition gradually worsened, slowing down their journey. They couldn't reach their destination before dark. At this point, the little monkey seemed to sense something wrong and hurriedly climbed a tree. When they realized something was amiss and looked back, they found a pack of wolves targeting them. The sight of the fierce wolves bearing their terrifying fangs frightened them into running for their lives. Fortunately, they discovered a small cabin not far away. To protect them, the big black dog bravely charged towards the wolves, buying them some time. Luckily, he only suffered minor injuries. They hid in the cabin all night and dared to go out to look for the little monkey the next day. However, having stayed outside too long, the monkey had already passed out from the cold. The old man and Remy checked into a hotel, spending all their remaining savings to hire the town's best doctor for the monkey. But the situation was not very optimistic. The monkey's condition was more than just a cold. It had some foreign object in its body that required surgery. At the same time, the doctor noticed the old man's constant coughing and urged him to seek treatment immediately. However, the old man declined, as they had spent all their money and could only delay treatment for a while. To earn some money for room and medical expenses, the old man was forced to reluctantly return to his old profession. He opened his long-dusted violin and played a piece in the hotel. The beautiful melody of the violin deeply impressed Remy, who was standing upstairs, and also moved all the audience present, earning the old man a warm round of applause. Although the performance earned them a substantial reward from the hotel, the money was still far from enough to cover the treatment costs. At this moment, an elegantly behaved woman approached them. She had recognized the old man's identity from the sound of his violin, but saw that he did not wish to admit it. Out of respect, she did not expose him, instead leaving a gold coin as a member of the audience, hoping this small contribution could help them overcome their difficulties. With this gold coin, they finally gathered enough money for the monkey surgery. But when Remy excitedly ran back to the room, he found that the monkey had already quietly passed away. Remy was choked with silent sobs, facing a real farewell for the first time. The old man took him outside to find a spot for the monkey to rest in peace. After returning to the hotel, Remy unexpectedly received a letter from Lise. While her mother was tailoring clothes, Lise discovered that the fabric used was identical to Remy's swaddling clothes. She told her mother about Remy's sad story, pleading with her to help uncover Remy's origins. And indeed, with diligent effort, her mother wrote to a few friends in the region where the fabric was produced and finally found news about Remy's parents. The old man hurriedly took Remy to meet his parents. A man claiming to be the child's uncle confirmed through a physical item that Remy was indeed his nephew who had gone missing years ago. He quickly took Remy to meet his biological parents. Their carriage traveled through the snowy roads, with Remy filled with anticipation of meeting his relatives. But upon arrival, they were met with a decrepit castle, and a couple claiming to be Remy's parents excitedly embraced him. However, Remy did not feel the joy he had expected upon meeting his real family, nor could he sense any familiarity. Moreover, the story of Remy's disappearance as told by these people did not match what the old man had heard from Remy's foster father, raising the old man's suspicions. Without concrete evidence, the old man had no choice but to temporarily leave Remy there. But as he had suspected, at night, the woman claiming to be Remy's mother openly expressed her desire to kill him. Frightened, Remy tried to escape the castle, but was blocked by his uncle at the door and forcefully dragged back. Just as they were about to seriously harm him, the old man timely returned. He commanded the big black dog to tackle a guard, while he himself restrained Remy's fake father, forcing him to reveal the truth. It turned out that soon after Remy was born, his biological father passed away unexpectedly. In a bid for the family inheritance, his uncle had hired an assassin to kill Remy. However, upon seeing that his target was just a baby, the assassin had a change of heart and abandoned him in distant Paris instead. The old man once again inquired about the location of Remy's biological mother, learning it was only 6 kilometers away. He hurriedly escaped with Remy from the garage, planning to find his mother overnight to avoid falling back into the uncle's hands. However, with a heavy snow falling outside and the old man battling illness, their progress was painfully slow. The blizzard could not muffle his agonizing coughs, and frail Remy passed out from the cold before him. The weakening old man carried Remy, moving forward with difficulty, until they found a church where they could warm up with a small fire. Holding the still unconscious Remy, the old man took out a small box, inhaling the scent of his homeland deeply before showing a peaceful smile. The fire had gone out, leaving the darkness even more serene. After an unknown amount of time, they were awakened by the big black dog's barking, who had gone to find help. Remy, waking up to the dog's barks, tried to alert the sleeping old man, but no matter how much he called out, the man who still held him tightly no longer responded. The next day, Remy woke up to see a beautiful woman. The big black dog had found them last night, and out of kindness, she had sent several guards to rescue them. Remy tried to ask about the old man's condition, only to receive the answer he dreaded the most. The woman advised him to rest before leaving the room. However, a servant discovered a note while tidying Remy's clothes, which the woman read with trembling hands. It was left by the old man, detailing everything about Remy, fearing he couldn't explain himself. Upon confirming Remy's story, the woman knew for certain that the boy before her was her son, lost for 10 years. Mother and son were finally reunited at that moment, and Remy's uncle received punishment for his past crimes. Remy personally arranged a grave for the old man, engraving his stage name as a violinist on it. The old man had been the most significant guide in both his life and music. Remy also planned to bring his foster mother to live with him, but she preferred to stay in her homeland. Years later, Remy became a renowned musician, marrying Lise, his empathetic friend from the past. Using their wealth, they built an orphanage named after the old man, Talus Orphanage, continuing his legacy of kindness and helping many more in need.